Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to Thursday, and it's our 311th episode. What do you think about that?
Yeah, nice.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. What a year. The Bhagavatam has been the light of my year, I will say that.
Me too.
You know, it's been the real light. Look, what a game changer. Through all the crazy, we have some sanity. Whew.
Well, it said that this Purana would give light in the age of darkness, right?
Yeah, that's what it says about it, and it has. Yeah, it's something steady you can do every day. Put a little bit into your brain, and helps redirect us, moving us out of the cycle of samsara. That is your Sanskrit. Everybody knows that word, right? Samsara. Mm-hmm. Sanskrit glossary goodie for the day. Samskara. The cycle of repeated birth.
Samsara or samskara?
Oh, samsara. Sorry. Samsara. The cycle of birth and death, repeated birth and death. To me, that means like the same, like a figure eight, the same choices again and again, the same poor choices, bad habits. And then we get an access point out by a devotee reaching their hand in. That's what the yoga system is. It's creating a crack in samsara where we can reach out and change our choices. And when we change our choices, we change the destiny. And we're all about changing the destiny by our good choices. How do you do that? You reprogram, you recalibrate. And that's what the Bhagavatam does. Reprograms, recalibrates, redirects all our energies, our thoughts, our resources, our time towards something higher. Otherwise, it's the same habits again and again for lifetimes. It's real change. You start to really change yourself. I can appreciate it.
Good. I do too.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to work. I'm working on. I'm a project. I'm like a big project, but it can definitely, things shift, choices shift. So
do we have some announcements today, Mara? Anything?
Yeah. Mara G.
Yeah, we have Damodar Swarup is doing a 10 a.m. asana class. And then tonight at 6 p.m., Rich Mancuso is doing a Kundalini yoga class.
Now, we all know Rich Mancuso, what he's famous for, right?
Evil golfer?
He's the evil golfer, but actually he's a very sweet person. But he's an evil golfer, but he's a very sweet person.
We love him.
I got to talk to Rich because I'm living in his hood now. I moved close to him. Yeah, we got to connect.
There's also a Bhakti recovery group meeting at noon today. And then this weekend on Sunday, Madhu's going to do a Bhakti Q&A session at 2 p.m.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When is that again?
Sunday at 2 p.m. Madhu's doing Bhakti Q&A. So if people have questions about, they can bring them to Madhu. Yeah.
Oh, Madhu's our sweet, lovable friend. Incredibly learned and incredibly talented.
It's kind of like a spark of positive energy, right?
He's a spark of positive energy. Yeah, you gotta love him. All right, so let's dive into the sweet nectar pot. Starting with our mantras. Oh, remember, I'm not going to say it. Forget it. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Man, I'm realizing how bad I butchered that yesterday. If you weren't here yesterday, we had Nityananda, a Sanskrit pundit, for our walk on Wednesday, and he really showed us how to chant those mantras.
You know what I was thinking about him?
What?
It's just like, when it comes to Varnashram Dharma, and which is the ancient science of the 4 different psychologies that people may have, and the occupations they can take up accordingly, and the contribution that they can make accordingly, the responsibilities that they have accordingly. That got warped into a caste system where it had a lot to do with privilege and, abuse of different ways and so on. But when you get back to that original understanding of the different psychologies and the different roles that people can play, it's not like, it's really based on a person's qualities. It's not based on their birth. It's not, and when you see a person like Nityananda, it's obvious, right? Isn't it obvious? This person is a Brahmana.
Yeah.
This person, he's clean. He's got a very clear, lucid mind.
Clean, isn't he? It's very clean.
He's clean. He's got a very.
It's 3:30 in the afternoon, India time. By that time of the day, I'm pretty messy. I'm
get all messed up. And he's got this interest. Like, look where his mind, his fascination and his interest goes. Right? He's like he's fascinated with this language, Sanskrit. Grammar, and the keys that it opens, the keys to learning that it opens up for him. He can spend a whole day, every day just thinking about this kind of stuff, where most people their interest doesn't go that deep. They'll lose interest at a certain point and they'll find an interest in something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But he's got the mind of a Brahmana, and it's obvious, it's clear. Do you think that he's obviously super intelligent? Do you think he makes a lot of money with that intelligence? I don't think so.
No, it's just one of those things. You love to do it, and that's what you do. Yeah. And it was impressive. And I realized, like, I'm butchering all these prayers. I have to up my game. You've noticed that I've been saying some words wrong, and now I'm realizing we're saying every word wrong.
Well, have you sent him in your homework?
It's not one word. I have not sent in my homework yet.
Well, you see, then where it's not going to go anywhere until you send in that homework, Grogu.
How does he have time to do homework with everybody? It's unbelievable.
That's what he's focused on.
Sitting there in Baroda, eating chapati. He's probably living a great life, though. I tell you.
He is. I bet he is.
I bet he's living a great life. If you guys have lived this simple Indian life, it's like so incredible. You like eat the best food. You somehow do nothing, yet so much gets done. There's not a burden to make lots of money because the expenses are low. You live in a family house where it's probably paid for generations. He lives with his mother-in-law. His mother-in-law probably is
taking care of the kids, right?
Taking care of the kids. Like, they don't have to worry about. They're passing those kids around to relatives. You don't have to worry. I need a nanny. I gotta get a nanny. My parents live in South Carolina. It's like
grandma's just dying to be the nanny.
Grandma is dying to be the nanny, and you can trust her. She's not like texting someone while putting your kid on a stroll or the kid's crying.
Not expensive.
No, she's not expensive at all. She just wants to be with the kids. The kids are passed around to different relatives. The wife's completely peaceful. You can just sit there.
Psychologically, it's good for everyone, right?
Psychologically, everybody's in great peace.
If there's a fight between two people, everybody's like, oh yeah, we're gonna work this out. Don't worry. Everybody goes through this, right? You got
Yeah,
this.
they do get in a fight. The male members of the house hang out with the males. They split. They like the women all talk, and they have the women's circles, and the men go to their men's circles. Everybody's your cousin. You're there with your brothers and your brother cousins, and they call them your brother, but they're actually your cousins. And it's like this huge tribe of people. It's unbelievable. And get ready for like the best food of your life.
Oh yeah.
Every day. Every day.
You ever go visit the general in Delhi?
The general?
The general. You don't know that
No, I
woman,
never.
the general? You've been there, haven't you? That
No.
family that we would visit, she walks around with a little towel on her shoulder.
No.
You've never been there? I know Parmananda's been there.
I met Pradeep's mother.
Well, okay.
She's
She
quite
lives in Delhi. I guess she also lives in a. She's a mother, and she lives in a city of.
But she's not a general.
People. She's the general. She's this like the whole family lives in one building. Like each floor is like a different. Instead
It's only in India that's going to happen. I can never live in a building with my family.
well, you were just praising it.
I'm praising it, but I don't know how they do it. But
Well,
go on.
but she's the mother, and she walks around with like this towel on her shoulder all the time, like she's doing stuff, like cleaning stuff up, but cooking all the time too, And she lays out incredible, but like all like the different brother, her sons, they all like live on one different floor, their families, and they all just love her like crazy, like she's like the ruler of the family, right?
Matriarch.
Matriarch, yeah, and you go in there, and they just the level of hospitality is just incredible, They're just so sweet and kind.
The level, I will say, for people who are into boga, like enjoying your senses, the level of sense gratification. I know we're supposed to be into self-realization and not sense gratification, but the sense gratification is like 10 levels up from what we enjoy, even at the best, even at our best.
Well, there's a story about that though, in the general and the sense gratification.
Yeah.
Because is Parmananda here?
Yeah, he's here.
Parmananda, maybe we can bring him in, because I know that
Sure.
if I know this story right, he was hearing about the general for like a long time, and he was like just ready to go ready for his visit and to enjoy that incredible prasad, right? Is he here? Parmananda, let's bring him in. Can you speak to us, Parmananda?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, am I getting the story right?
Yeah, the general is the best. It's a family of 5 brothers. They live above. They all work at the store in Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
And the grandmother is like, she's the general.
She's the general.
She's the general.
She brought me and my kids into her house, and I've never felt so welcome.
What a great quality, huh?
I was part of the family. And we were complete strangers. They opened their doors with open arms. She fed us like I've never been fed before.
But I heard a story about you being fed there, like the first time you went there, that you went on a particular day. Did I get the story right? That you went on the Gopastami day?
We didn't go on a special day.
I heard a whole story about you, that because on Gopastami, the Gopastami is the day of where Krishna takes out the cows for the first time.
It might have been Gopastami.
And so like on that day, this family, like they're so absorbed in Krishna's Leela and everything. So on that day, I guess it's some kind of tradition, but like all the food that you make is like this food that you like, that Krishna could carry out to the pasture. So it's like chidwa, different kind of snacks and everything, but it wasn't like the full
snack food.
Maybe. I remember they had bhajans all day.
Yeah.
They had
So they're just kirtan all day long.
A beautiful altar, and the whole family is just sitting in front of the altar chanting like the whole day.
In our Denta-Can society, we just don't have so much of this,
We don't have it. Just even like one of the most, and this sounds crazy, and a lot of men have never shaved their head. Many have. Women often don't shave their head with a razor, but
That's
I will
rare.
say that the first time I ever got my head shaved, like to the skin in India, It was the most pleasurable thing I've ever
You
done.
got the massage.
No, I got the famous guy, who was Prabhupada's barber, that guy.
Oh yeah. Oh, he would come to the Gurukula and
So he'd lay down a towel. So you're outside. He'd lay down a towel. He'd sit you down. He'd have a box, a
you're
wooden
in the
box.
sun,
He
right?
looks like he made the box himself, and it have all his tools in it. You always have to remind him, please give me a new blade. No, I don't want a used blade. And then,
Of course.
then he starts slapping around your head, slapping your neck, giving you shoulder massage, more face massage, slapping you back and forth. Then start putting oil. It was just like, then with a straight razor, go wherever your hair is at. It could be down to your butt with dreadlocks. Just takes that straight razor, cuts it back, and then he's lathering. You don't even understand shaving cream. No one here understands shaving cream. Shaving cream is a thing. It was like a science. It's ancient, but they take this. We just pour it on. It does nothing. This shaving cream that we do.
Get
This
that brush.
in the bottle. You gotta brush it on, because the whole brushing of the lather, it tenderizes your face to make the shave smooth. This guy will slap this shaving cream on you like until it starts becoming foamy.
Circular.
Yeah, and your face gets so soft that then he brings the blade on. It's so perfectly clean, and you don't have to do any like facial gestures like move your nose or move your face. He's like, no, don't move. He does it like he could shave a balloon without popping at this guy.
Yeah.
And then after you're done, he was like, massage? And you're like, yeah, sure. Give me a massage while you're at it. I mean, it is the best treatment you've ever had. And you're done. You're like, oh my God. Now, fast forward 20 years, I'm in Beverly Hills. I'm teaching in Beverly Hills, and it's my last day of teaching.
And this guy shows up to take the class.
No, my students, because it's my last day of teaching, I'm moving to upstate New York. Right. And my students buy me a gift of a barber in town, a barber in Beverly Hills. So I was like, oh wow, I haven't got a shave for in India in years. I'm gonna get a great shave. Stunk. The Beverly Hills barber for it was like $70. It was so bad. It's not like it was.
There may be people listening that donated for you to go.
Oh, sorry. It was great. Thank you.
It was the thought that was important.
The thought was beautiful, but it was just like pedestrian, like budget, like third class. They had no real talent.
They didn't have that bhava, right? That mood too. It's not just the talent; it's the mood, isn't it? The service mood.
YouTube search Indian barbers, you'll get a whole thing going on.
The guy had a great mustache too, right?
Had a great mustache. So anyway, my point is the level of sense gratification. Bhakti is actually nothing to do with renunciation. It's incredible sense gratification, actually. There's incredible sense gratification, but you dovetail your overall energy, your focus, because it's not like, I want to get into Bhakti for the haircuts, for the shaves. You get into because you want to please Krishna. But all that other stuff are just like beautiful side notes. They're just like beautiful frosting to the cake. I would have never eaten like incredible pakoras until I got into Bhakti.
Sorry?
We've eaten the best pakoras, like the best cauliflower pakoras people can even make. You can't buy this stuff.
First of all, did you get your warning today?
What?
Kirsten, did she send you something?
Oh, is tomorrow Ekadasi?
Today is.
Oh, I've got news for you, Kaustubha. I've been fasting for what day? What's the day?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter to you. You've
What's
been
the day
fasting.
today? The 9th or the 10th?
I don't even know.
I don't know. Whatever
It's the
day.
10th. It's the 10th. Thank you.
I've been fasting for 10 days. Ekadasi is my friend.
Okay. So you don't need a warning.
I won't break Ekadasi tomorrow, huh?
You're gonna break a Ekadashi tomorrow? You have to,
No,
right?
I can't. I have to like put a little grain on my tongue and then take it off.
Is that how you do it?
Like Maharaj Ambarish.
Any case,
We got a good thing.
You know what I was gonna say though? You know why I think we've lost touch with that loving family atmosphere to a large degree is because our Western minds have been conditioned like, I don't want to serve the whole. I just want to be served, right?
Yeah.
So we can't relate to living in a house with all our family members and everything like that.
I think the type of people, especially for you Americans, the type of people, the stock of human that came to America, the bloodline of humans that came to America. I mean, we were going out to the Wild West. It's like setting up forts and, claiming land, getting in like horrible battles where we could lose our children, our wives, fighting with Native Americans.
Just to be alone?
Just to be alone and separate and establish our own concocted religions. We did concoct a lot of great religions.
Okay.
Just made them up. That's one thing.
Right.
But yeah, there is a lot of really rich pleasure. I mean, think about a sari, a woman's sari.
Mm-hmm.
How beautiful is a sari?
Oh, it's lovely.
Any woman in a sari looks like a princess.
Classy.
Looks like a princess.
Yeah.
And you know what? Dhotis, for people who can wear dhotis correctly, like wear them nicely, men look very beautiful in a dhoti.
But most can't.
Most can't. I can't very well. I need to be a little taller to really rock a dhoti. I look like I'm wearing a big diaper.
All right. Yeah, these ladies, like, particularly in South India, Bengal, especially in South India, because they wear those really nice saris there, those,
Yeah.
They'll be out just common laborer or something like that. Looks like they could walk right into like the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons or something like that. Right? Like on any given day, they just look so classy.
Like literally a common laborer, someone who's like cut. What do you call those scythes? One of those.
Where your mind goes. The scythe.
It's like a scythe, one of those hooks that they're chopping plants down. They're gardeners and they're squatting down. They're just hacking the jungle. They're hired gardeners, but they stand up. They're wearing an elegant sari with gold earrings. Yeah. It's like even the poorest people
and some bangles.
And some bangles.
And a Mangala Sutra.
Mangala Sutra is the version of the wedding band. It's like a necklace. Yeah, it's quite beautiful on every level. And here's another one.
Yeah.
What do we have to offer people for candy in this world? Reese's.
It's a lot of junk. Yeah, a lot of junk.
Like Reese's, Snickers. It's like the same old stuff. You show up to an Indian sweet shop.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. It's like to create this itself, it's like a work of art to create those Indian sweets. Like a work of art. And it's labors of love. And they're really into it. And there's thousands of
Son Papri.
Yeah, I mean,
layers and layers.
What are our favorite ones lately? We have some favorite ones. Mary, do you remember those? What's it called?
Mysore Malai.
Mysore Malai.
Mysore Pak.
Mysore Pak. What are those? The oldies but goodies. The ones with sesame and gore.
Gore Gudja.
Gore Gudjuk. The unrefined cane sugar. Now, Gore Gudjuk's interesting. That sweet in itself. They are made exclusively by families that only make Gore Gudjuk. And you can't...
Really?
I think Mother Yamuna told me, you can't make that. You have to be sort of like born into the families to make that stuff.
See? That's a Vrindavan sweet.
Is it maybe it's a
Well, they make it in Vrindavan, so...
Yeah. But, yeah, incredible. This is incredible stuff, people. This is like... There's so much good enjoyment... that we can offer to Krishna.
This is how Raghu got into it. That enjoying spirit.
I got in through my out of control senses.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yeah.
All right, are we going to do Bhagavatam or are we just going to talk about food?
Talk about food. It's not just food. It's all the things.
I know. It's the whole culture, right?
Okay. So we're into the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, Text 32.
32 or 31?
30.
Yeah. Thank you, Mara.
Glasses. Okay, I'm just going to read it. Okay. 31. The personality of God had said, knowledge about me as described in the scriptures is very confidential, and it has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. Boom. That's a great one.
Yeah.
The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me. You may take it up carefully.
Okay.
So all this knowledge, it's got to lead you to bhakti.
Yes, and I think, but also what's being said here is that to understand these highest, Brahma just put questions to Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu is going to say, I'm going to answer those questions for you, but to really understand them, they can only really understand when this knowledge is in conjunction with devotional service, right? Because the attitude and the mentality, you won't understand it without that.
Sure, sure. Well, Kaustubha, although a lot of academics loved and praised Srila Prabhupada, the author and an author of this book and the purports,
Yeah.
he got criticism from a lot of people for inserting Bhakti Yoga when the actual translation didn't say Bhakti Yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting thing was, why did he say that? It doesn't say Bhakti Yoga in the verse. It doesn't say act in Krishna consciousness in the verse. How dare he change the translation? But it's actually a great gift that Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was such a master, he saw that this is where it's going. This verse that might be talking about karma yoga or action or jnana, it's actually meant to bring you to bhakti.
And it's consistent with the entire text.
And it's consistent with the entire text. And he has a real mastery of the text that only a master can translate. If you're trying to translate word for word, you're not going to get it. You're going to take it out of context. It's like, when we were kids, if you were driving by CBGB's when and you knew nothing about the hardcore scene, you think, what the hell is going on there? Now, we knew it was just like, it was just a bunch of crazy kids running around. It wasn't as crazy as it might even appeared. It was actually very frightening if you were like a civilian, but I guess it was a little frightening if you were in it too. But if you were a civilian, it was very frightening. But you had to be in the inner circle to really get it, to get the dancing, the moshing, the stage diving. That it wasn't threatening, it wasn't violent. It was actually just it was just like some
kids having fun.
Kids having fun. You had to be part of that inner circle. Prabhupada or all these masters who are giving the commentaries. We don't want commentaries by academics because they're only understanding the honey by studying the honey jar. Mm-hmm. You have to you can't just read the text to get this. You have to live this stuff. You have to apply this stuff. You have to be part of a tradition. And then even if you're new, even if you're 1 year in, you can explain this in a deep way to a person who's been practicing yoga for 30 years out of any tradition. What do you think about that?
Okay, so you got to open up the jar, put your paw
right in that jar.
Okay. And taste it.
And taste the sweetness.
So let's hear what Srila Prabhupada writes here. He says, Lord Brahma is the topmost devotee of the Lord within the universe. And therefore, the personality of Godhead replied to his 4 principal inquiries in 4 important statements, which are known as the original Bhagavatam in 4 verses. That's the Chatushloki, 4 verses. This verse we just read and the next one, these are the prelude to the Chatushloki. We're almost there. Okay. Yeah. And so Brahma put questions to Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu gives in 4 verses, he gives the message of the Bhagavatam. All right. Now here are the questions. These are Brahma's questions. 1, what are the forms of the Lord both in matter and in transcendence? 2, how are the different energies of the Lord working? 3, how does the Lord play with his different energies?
Play with them.
Yes. And 4, how may Brahma be instructed to discharge the duty entrusted to him? Right. And we'll get into this when we get it, but the 3 topics of the Bhagavatam are covered in these 4 verses. And those are Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. And we'll get into those terms later. Okay. The prelude to the answers is this verse under discussion, wherein the Lord informs Brahma that knowledge of him, the supreme absolute truth, as it is stated in the revealed scriptures, is very subtle and cannot be understood unless one is self-realized by the grace of the Lord, right? You just don't, you will not understand the message unless you get that blessing. The Lord says that Brahma may take the answers as he explains them. Understand it as I'm explaining it to you. This means that the transcendental knowledge of the absolute supreme being can be known if it is made known by the Lord himself. This idea is all over Bhagavatam. It's all over Bhagavad Gita, right? Just as you're saying, it's not academic qualification,
Yeah.
right? It has to do with one's mood. And let's continue, but we can talk about this more. He says, by the mental speculation of the greatest mundane thinkers, the absolute truth cannot be understood.
Yep.
The mental
Can't get
speculation.
in. You can't get in.
You can't get, and now this means not only academics now, but this is also going to mean transcendentalists, yogis, whose mood is not devotional, but whose mood is, I'm searching for liberation. I want, by my own yogic power, I will bust free. That person will also not be able to understand. So now he's going to talk about that. He says the mental speculators, he's referring to Jnana yogis. He says, can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman realization, which is really quite something on one level. But
It's quite something. These are like deep
Very-
philosophers, thoughtful people, Stoics, like in the Western culture. Stoics. I'll do what's right over what feels good. I'll torture my senses to find some inner truth.
Yeah.
And yet,
renunciation, intense levels of renunciation, right?
Yeah.
So the mental speculators can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman. There's one feature of Krishna, the impersonal energy, the oneness, that the energy that is free of the defects of the material energy, to realize that and realize that I am made of that energy. That's from one angle of vision, that's a very high spiritual accomplishment. So he says, the mental speculators can reach up to the standard of impersonal Brahman realization, but factually, complete knowledge of transcendence is beyond the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. There's Paramatma, the God within the heart, and then there's the personality of Godhead. Thus, it is called the supreme confidential wisdom. I think the term used here was, what is it? It's in the verse, it said, Jnanam Parama Guyam, right? It's this knowledge, which is the Parama, the highest, Guyam, confidential topic or secret. So he goes on. He says, thus it is called the supreme confidential wisdom. Out of many liberated souls, someone may be qualified to know the personality of Godhead, right? So even if you become liberated to the level of Brahman realization, that's a rare soul.
So there's these nuances of spiritual advancement.
Yeah. But only one is the conclusion of the yoga system, and that is when that complete realization. So, Krishna will say in the Gita, Manushanam Sahasreshu, that out of many, what is it? Out of many thousands of men, only one,
only one will endeavor
for perfection.
Out of those who've achieved perfection, hardly one will know me in truth.
Hardly one knows me in truth. So that's what that verse is referring to. That people may become yogis and renunciates and stoics, and they may achieve a certain level of deep spiritual realization, but they still don't know God in truth. And ultimately, their realization is, let's say there's a weakness to it, and it's prone to be lost and so on. And it's not completely fulfilling. But in any case, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is also said by the Lord himself that out of many hundreds of thousands of people, one may try for perfection in human life. And out of the many liberated souls, one may know him as he is. Therefore, the knowledge of the personality of Godhead, right, Bhagavan, may be attained by devotional service only. Rahasyam, and the word rahasyam means devotional service. In these two verses, the word rahasyam comes up. It's also like guyam. It means like a mystery. Like a lot of yoga books have the word rahasyam in them, like the secrets of pranayama, pranayama rahasyam or something like that. The secrets of pranayama, like that. You like secret pranayams, right, Raghu?
I like secret pranayams. Anyway, go on. I was just saying, everything is sort of a mystery. Everything's sort of a mystery. It's all mysterious. In the Western world, because there's not that much information into spiritual life, or traditions aren't that connected, it's sort of diverse. People can, and I was like that too as a teenager, it's very, very confusing, and you can jump around to different spiritual paths and be a seeker or be a philosopher, and you could go from
Never really transform, right?
never really transform. I'm going to try peyote. I'm going to try so many different things. But it's saying if you want to know Krishna, there's a way to do it. There's a process. You don't have to you don't have to even guess how to do it. We're going to explain how to do it. And then you can have what these masters have. It's not just for the masters. You can have it too. Here's how you get there.
Yeah.
And here's the process. We're gonna hold your hand through it.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing. That was such a relief for me. There's a system and it works and it's tangible, and you can start to notice how it's tangible and how it's transforming you. And another interesting thing is, you always see the macro and the micro. My relationship to God or Krishna is similar to my relationships in this world. If I want to know you, it's not just through me yelling at you and telling you, listen, I want you to tell me something very, very intimate about yourself. It's for me loving you. If I love Kaustubha, then he starts to share everything with me, and he'll share stuff with me that he won't share. I'll be privy to things that he won't share. And his wife will have a whole nother insight of him because she's got a more intimate relationship with him, and he may share many more things with her. So even in this world, love is the only way to get to the bottom of somebody's heart. And we have an opportunity to get to the bottom of Krishna's heart through love. Then he starts revealing everything. At the very least, he starts revealing how to make your way out of this crazy world. That's the least.
You should write a song
Right?
about
The
that.
highest thing are very higher echelons of bhakti and relating with Krishna and singing with Krishna, dancing with Krishna, cooking for Krishna, stuff, all that stuff. But the very least, how to escape all the mishaps, the potholes, the sinkholes of the material world. He'll do that as well.
Yeah, it's easy in one sense. There's many places in the Gita that speak about this. In the fourth chapter, third text, Krishna says, Saevayam Maya Tedya Yoga Prokta Paratana, that this ancient science of yoga, I'm going to speak it to you, right?
It's like a paratha? Okay, go on.
What's that?
It sounded like a paratha.
Paratha? We're talking about Delhi food, man. I was thinking of paratha as like Zakadashi. Oh, man. There's nothing like a hot paratha, made by these people in Delhi, these ladies. I mean, my God, it's crispy. And yeah. Anyway. Okay. So yoga prokta paratana, that there's this ancient yoga. I'm going to speak it to you, prokta. I'm going to speak it to you, Arjuna. And then he says, Arjuna, he says, bhakto sime saka cheti, right? Because you're my bhakta, bhakto sime, you're my bhakta, and saka cheti, and also my friend. He says, rahasyam, there's that word, rahasyam, the secret, the mystery, rahasyam etad uttamam, the ultimate mystery. You're going to be able to understand it because, why? Not because you're super intelligent, not because, any other qualification, but because you're my devotee and you're my friend, Now in the, later in the 9th chapter, the beginning of the 9th chapter, he also speaks about this confidential, he uses the word guyam, not rahasyam, but the guyam tamam, that this most confidential information, he says, I'm going to share it with you. He says, my dear Arjuna, because he said, and this is really interesting. He says, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence, like you were just talking about, Raghu, right?
Yeah.
Because you're my friend, because you're my devotee, because you're never envious of me. That's going to be your qualification to understand. And I, there's something that's always was interesting to me. It's not even like he's saying, because only when you adapt this attitude are you allowed to enter into the club. It really has to do with, you only get this when you will only be able to understand this when it's what you want to understand. But if you want the illusion, right? If you want I forget which pill is the illusion pill and which pill is the
Me too.
who knows which pill is the what's the reality pill and what's the illusion pill? Do you know, Mara?
No, I don't know.
Okay, someone help us here. But if you want the illusion pill, right, then you will not be able to understand this information. And wanting the illusion pill, in a sense, is being envious of God. It's like saying, I want to enter into the material. I want to play the role of God. I want to be the center, right? I don't want to be centered around any divine source. I want to forget that divine source and move through a realm wherein I can be the center of it. If that's what you want, then this information is going to screw all that up for you, right? The knowledge that, that Krishna is the source of everything, that my well-being is in connection with him and so on. If you want to forget that. Now, if you say, I don't want that, I just want to serve you. I want to be your devotee. I want to be your friend. I don't want to be envious of you. Then it's like, okay, then I'll reveal that to you, right? Then I'll reveal that. And therefore, to understand Bhagavatam, to understand, ultimately to understand reality, as opposed to illusion, it requires the devotional attitude, which is ultimately the devotional attitude is the attitude of reality. And any other attitude is the attitude of illusion.
And that's why things like pride, lust, greed, they can't go side by side with your devotional attitude. They don't work. Because those things, lust, greed, anger, envy, those things have something to do with you being in charge and in control.
Right.
It's one of those first things we get trained at as monks. The guru will chastise you, and they'll chastise you for doing something stupid, silly, wrong, or they'll chastise you to sort of refine you.
Refine the attitude. Right?
Refine your attitude. And me and Mara were joking, that sometimes you'll get chastised and you've done nothing wrong. But
I've been there.
This one's really unfair. I've done nothing wrong in this particular case. But the interesting thing is, and each one of them, even if you're doing something wrong, to get chastised is like, it hurts your ego because I'm so rooted in I am right. I am right. How many people run with I am right at the cost of their marriage? Right? They'll ruin their marriage with I am right. Or
there's that story, right? This one? That story.
Sisters and they're just bent on their way so much. It's such a disease, Kaustubha.
This just real quick, but the story is that like two people are having a fight over like what's the right instrument to use to make this cut that we have to make, and one person saying knife, and the other person, knife, no way, scissors is the way to go, and the person's like knife, scissors, knife, and they're just arguing over this, who's right. They're so attached to being right. Yeah, and then finally the knife guy says, if you don't accept what I'm saying, I'm going to throw you in the river, and it's like, and apparently, he couldn't swim, right? And he goes, scissors. So the guy throws him in the river. He's going to die, And as he's going down under the water, he's holding up his two fingers. And he's going like snip, snip with this finger. Right? It's just like we're so attached to being right. It's a real disease of mine. Yeah, I've got it bad.
And all those things. And we might be going through something right now where we feel like our ego is getting a little challenged. And these are such great experiences to say, hey, don't you understand what's going on? You're sincere. And Krishna is cracking the macadamia nut. He's cracking you open to get to the soul. Right now, we've been wearing the ego outfit, and it doesn't feel good in that outfit. And when the ego gets hurt, we break. And then what to speak of, if you're on a spiritual path and you're a little bit more advanced, you might get chastised when nothing's your fault at all. And you know what? It's a great time to say, you jerk, don't you know? I have every good intention. You can really get almost like exceptionally, you feel rightful to be resentful. You feel like I have a good right to be resentful.
Justified.
But once you feel resentful, we lose. Once we feel resentful, we lose. And so we are always in a constant state of seeing how we are blessed, even in the times we feel like I don't deserve it. There's that story of when Krishna liberated the kings. Was that great story when they fought Jarasandha?
Huh?
No.
They're all locked away.
Yeah, they were like Jarasandha was so crazy. He every time he fight a battle, he wouldn't kill the kings, but he would keep them in a dungeon. So he collected kings. He was such a crazy. We think we have crazy leaders now. This guy collected kings that he was going to offer to Shiva. He was going to like on the altar. And so Krishna came to liberate these kings and to kill Jarasandha. And when they came out, Krishna just looked at them with a very beautiful, sympathetic face and said, "You poor kings, you're such from noble families. You've done nothing wrong. And the treatment that you've gotten, you've been living in this dungeon, you're emaciated and you are dirty and you are fit to be sitting on thrones." And one of the kings folded his hands and said, "Krishna, whatever, I must have done something to deserve this in this life. Nothing happens without a reason. So I've accepted this as my fate." Like, what a way to see the world. Where
These
you're
kings,
just not
man.
where you're not steeped in anger and resentment and carrying puffing resentment around for a long time. And so if you are going through that, and we go through that on a regular basis, just know that you must be getting advanced. And Krishna's, once you start getting advanced, there is a cleaning process. Just like when you're, have you ever refinished furniture, Kaustubha?
I haven't refinished furniture.
I have not either. Never refinished furniture. Well, you got to get the plane and you got to scrape it and you got to scrape off layers and layers. Or like in a New York City apartment, there's like layers and layers of paint. You can't even get a flat surface in these old New York apartments. They have like drips of paint from 100 years back. And then you can strip it back and underneath there's this brick wall and everybody loves exposed brick. But this is the whole thing. There's layers and layers that divine energy is cracking off us to get to that beautiful spirit soul. And so anytime those hiccups come, those potholes comes, those reversals in life, this is Krishna bringing us higher and higher and higher. And if we don't learn the lesson, we're just going to get it again. We're just going to get that same damn thing again.
So it's refining us.
Yeah. Whenever I come up with anger, pride, envy, this is unfair. When I chant that mantra, it's totally unfair. I'm not seeing that divine hand in it.
You can't say that phrase without a level of embarrassment, right? Like say in front of a great soul, right? Like if you're
In front of
standing,
a great soul, you can't say it because the great soul will just look at you, raise their right eyebrow, like Leonard Nimoy. Everything's fair in the material world.
yeah, and that's I think a lot of our, at least the way I envision practice, the way I try to practice also, I try. But a lot of it has to do with kind of like feeling the presence of the great souls, feeling the presence of Guru, feeling the presence of the sadhus, the great souls, as well as feeling the presence of Paramatma, feeling the presence of God within the heart at all times.
Sure.
At all times. That in one sense you're never alone. You're always feeling that presence, and so that refines what you say, that refines what you do, and ultimately you're feeling their presence internally. So ultimately, hopefully it's refining how you think as well. Like even your embarrassing thoughts, you have to just like you would refine your behavior in front of an exalted person, a deeply spiritual person, a person that you admire like that, just as you would refine your behavior, that ultimately, as you go deeper into the practice, you're refining your thoughts too. You don't allow because you feel the presence of that person internally, right?
Sure.
All right.
Let's get back to our thing.
Okay, you want to get back to our thing? I thought this is all Bhagavatam.
It's all Bhagavatam.
Okay, so get back to that purport.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No,
Sorry
no.
if I hijacked that purport.
No, you went with it. You ran with it. Okay, so let's see where we were. So Lord Krishna instructed Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, let's see, therefore, the knowledge of the personality of God may be attained by devotional service only. Rahasyam means devotional service. It's like the word mystery can actually be used. It would be great if we had
he's on the show.
He's
on the show.
Oh, isn't it? Maybe he could tell us something about that word rahasya.
Unmute him.
We got him with it.
Mhm.
Hey, welcome back. He fulfilled our desire already. We're thinking we needed someone like you
Look
for
at him.
just for
It's
like times.
3:30 in the afternoon. He's clean. He's sharp. At 3:30, that's my exhausted time of the day. We were just talking. Did you hear us glorifying you before and your family?
I joined slightly later, maybe.
Oh man, we had a whole
What's going
Nityananda
on about you?
glorifying Baroda and Indian sweets, and you were a big part of it. And family life in India.
Brahminical qualities also.
We were talking about Brahmin. Yeah, you're gonna go back and listen.
Okay.
So this word rahasyam here, Prabhupada says that he says that rahasyam means devotional service.
Yes, yes, and actually, if you go further, rahasyam, I think.
Now, would the most common translation of the word rahasyam be mystery?
Yeah, mystery. It's mystery. Well,
Yeah.
it has to be understood in the larger context of the Bhagavatam, which basically establishes bhakti. You can see it from 1st to 12th canto throughout the scripture. Bhakti is the thing that is promoted the most in the Bhagavatam. So this is rahasyam, and therefore, you cannot interpret Chatushloki outside of the context. And actually, if you look at these 4 verses, there is kind of a external literal meaning that you can get out of it, which if you just take the dictionary meanings of the words, it doesn't point to bhakti if you just go by that academic path. But if you actually look at the context of the whole Bhagavatam, it does point to bhakti, and therefore one of the acharyas, they actually explained that this Chatushloki, these 4 verses from 32nd to 36th, they're like a case that contains a great treasure inside. So those who don't have an access, they're just preoccupied with the case.
The treasure
And
chest.
be like,
They're occupied with the treasure chest and not the treasure.
Yes. And then they see this jnana, vijnana, whatever. All these were like the knowledge of the self, especially in the last verse of the Chatushloki that will be there. So, but then those who have the access, they see the treasure in it. And there are some pointers in Sanskrit to that, and it's actually my favorite 4 verses in the whole Bhagavatam, because there's so much packed with that. And if you study the explanations of the previous teachers, it's just amazing.
Oh well, maybe we have to get Nityananda on when we hit those verses.
Well, that may even be tomorrow or the next show after that,
which would be Monday-ish.
Monday. We're not on Sunday. Thank you so much, Nityananda. It's great having you around. Just stick around as much as possible. We'd love to have you around.
Yeah, that was great.
So Sunday we have no show, right? Because you're going to PR.
Well, I know Monday we were going to have our alien talk, but we might have to cancel aliens till next week.
Okay.
It's aliens and Vedic archaeology and cosmography. Don't miss it. Druta Karma, also known as Michael Cremo, who's an expert in Vedic sciences and the UFOs, according to the Vedas. He's quite a fascinating guy. We're going to get into it. Matter of fact, if you have any weird, multi-dimensional alien questions, we should take some questions on that show too. Okay. We should just write them to Mara and put in the subject line alien. It doesn't have to be about aliens, but we'll save all those in one thing, and we can read some UFO, archaeology, cosmography. I really want to talk about different planetary systems. I want to talk about origins of language. Like if Sanskrit came from the gods, where the heck did Chinese come from? Where did Celtic languages come from?
You just anything you're curious about, you're going to throw out.
No, I'm thinking they came from other planets. I'm dead serious. I'm not trying to. Look, before we even go on, Nityananda's very smart. What do you think of my theories, Nityananda? Did languages come from other planets and they devolved, or did we create language?
Don't be afraid to be honest with this answer.
Be honest. You can cut me down. I'll take it. I live to be corrected.
It's a fact that nothing. It's not that absolutely everything comes from Sanskrit. That's also true. Like one of the languages is Tamil, South Indian language.
Tamil.
So the pure Tamil doesn't come from Sanskrit. It was actually, according to the tradition, and it was created by Agastya Rishi with the inspiration of Lord Shiva.
What?
So, yeah, it's like that.
But even if that's true, it doesn't mean that Chinese came from the aliens.
Well, listen, here's my point.
What's your
I don't think that every language came from Sanskrit, but I think a lot of languages, a lot of words, we borrowed words from Sanskrit. It's like a mother tongue. But my question is, did other languages come from other regions and they've descended, they've trickled down over centuries? Or did we start these languages? Did we just start trying to form words and explain things? Ever think about that, Nityananda? You're pretty smart. I'm looking towards you. Okay.
I'm just like you. I'm also questioning that because, and I'm open to.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Ayurveda came from Dhanvantari, an avatar. I mean, if you really want to know the origins of Ayurveda, it came from an avatar of Lord Vishnu. So where the heck did acupuncture come from?
Okay, Raghu, we're out of time. We're over time.
These are interesting things, people. And we have a person to ask, but it's not going to be this week, unfortunately. I think it might have to be next Sunday.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Nityananda, for stopping by. Pleasure. Great show today. It's a great day for a great day today. That's what I'm feeling. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on Zoom. Hey, our website's going up soon. We need you to support our patreon.com/wisdom of the sages page. We have to keep this thing going. We want to keep it going. If you're watching this on a regular basis, kick down 50 cents a show, $1 a show, whatever you're doing. It really goes a long way, and it means a lot to us. Thank you very much. And also, you know what we got? We got a Kundalini class. When's that? Tomorrow?
Today at 6.
Today at 6.
There's an evil golfing class today.
The evil golfer. And what else we got? Oh, we got a recovery meeting. Recovery meetings are great. Go to a recovery meeting. Share your heart. Hear from deep people steeped in wisdom. And it's all there on in our Patreon community. That's all I got today, Kaustubha.
That's all we need, bro. You gave us what we needed today.
Now I have to do what I have to do.